Hello, everybody. It's Christy Whitman with the Quantum Success Show, where you can get your information and inspiration to create your desires. And as you can see, I have a friend with me. This is the amazing Guy Finley, and he is an internationally renowned spiritual teacher and best-selling self-realization author. His books and audio programs have sold over 2 million copies worldwide in 26 different languages. Amazing. His seminal work, The Secret of Letting Go, is considered a spiritual classic. And Guy is the founder and director of Life of Learning Foundation, based in Maryland, Oregon, as well as the host of the Life of Learning Wisdom School, an online self-study program for personal self-discovery. His new book, Relationship Magic, Waking Up Together, love that title, is a practical guide that provides couples with the unique, enlightened tools to transform their relationships from mundane to magical. Love it. Guys, thank you so much for being here.
I'm glad to be with you, Christy. Really glad to be with you.
I am so excited to talk about your new work. It's amazing. So let's talk about Waking Up Together. I love it. Guy, why did you decide to write about relationships?
Everything in our life, everything that we will ever learn about ourselves, and maybe even more importantly, every limitation that we will eventually need to transcend in ourselves, we learn about through our relationships. So this book is a natural evolution, really, of all my work to date. Because in the end, and I don't want to get too long-winded right at the start, when we look outside on any given day, I live in Southern Oregon. I'd wheel this around so people could see. I live on a mountain top, and I have all these beautiful natural creatures, some deer that I've 7 generations that I've helped raise in quotes. And everything that I look out and see that's beautiful in nature, I'm drawn to it because in the moment of that relationship, it reveals in me things that I don't ordinarily know about myself until the moment of that relationship. So whether it's a night sky or a shaded madrone tree moving in the wind, all of these things awaken me to parts of myself I don't know otherwise. So life, in this instance, nature, is a perfect mirror, but we are the a priori relationship. It shows me a beauty that was there before nature says, look at this guy, I want to teach you something about yourself. It's exactly the same thing with our human relationships, only this book adds a very important dimension. All of us love to be around people that love us, that are being kind towards us, giving things up for our sake, and we think it's natural. That's how stuff's supposed to go. And that is, in fact, a revelation. When I'm with my wife, you know, she has this quirky smile, this little laugh. It's given me pleasure for 40 years. But what about those moments when that quirky smile turns into a upside down smile? You know what I'm saying, right?
I do.
When instead of the beautiful movement of shade on the ground, there's a suffering that surfaces, and I'm the target of that pain. In those moments, it's the exact same principle. We're being asked to see through the revelation of that moment with that person, that predicament, that problem, that gas station attendant, something about ourselves that we don't know lives in us until, by the grace of God, it is shown to us through that relationship. And in that moment, if I'm willing to see the fact of that limitation, as opposed to blaming the pain of it on my partner, I have an opportunity to be realized, to see myself as I actually am, and to understand this pain is not because that person stepped out of line. That person is directly in line with what I need to see to fulfill the true purpose of my life, which is to grow in a love that is unconditional and that makes no claims at all other than the wish to grow through all that it has shown about itself. That's why I wrote the book.
Wow, that's a big undertaking, because I mean, a lot of people don't come from that understanding and don't come from that perspective. And you know what I always like to say, because based on I teach you about the universal laws, right? That
Yes.
we're in relationship with everything all the time, whether it's the
Everything all
weather
the time.
or money or our careers or people or the nature or whatever it is. And you know, we're the ones that affect that quality of the relationship. But I love what you're saying too. It's like if someone pushes a button, it's like I need to look at what's my button, because it's not me to blame them. They pushed a button. It's what's in me that's being pushed. And
Yes.
that's a moment for a beautiful self-discovery. And I always say that ever since I had children, you know, this is the best personal development class I could be in, is being a mom. You know, because little Christy at 9 years old, that happens to now be a little boy named Alex, you know, it's like he's doing stuff that I used to do. And if I get lit up by it, I'm like, oh, I'm like healing so much of my relationship with my parents, my relationship with myself. I mean, it's such an opportunity and really a land, if you will, to heal many different parts of my own shadow self even.
That's it. Look, I have a saying, and the saying is, as goes my attention, so comes my experience. As goes my attention, so comes my experience. And we have been trained by a psychotic culture, a society that is predicated on the idea that appearance is more important than being, to find fault with anything that upsets whatever little kingdom has been created in our imagination. And so every one of these moments where we feel assaulted by a situation with someone, anyone, anywhere, it is an opportunity to realize that the pain that I have in that moment is not because of what you're doing, but because of what I have brought with me into that moment.
Beautiful. So beautiful. So when you talk about waking up together, can you explain what that is? Because I know your book is about waking up together, the relationship magic.
The beauty of the subtitle, because originally, Christy, my first choice for a subtitle was The Endless Journey of Love, because that's what we're all on, whether we recognize it or not. Even those of us who have had rough childhood, tough life, everything in life, I know everybody knows this expression, as not, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. See, well, we only want the lessons that line up with who we think we are.
Mm.
When the most important lessons of all, really, are those that challenge these ideas we have about ourselves. Because where's the pain in any relationship other than a certain expectation I have that you be what I want you to be, when I want you to be it, and how I want you to act it out? Because once I start to get that, then when the student is ready, the teacher appears. You become my teacher when you don't do what I think you should be doing. My pain is because of an expectation, not because of an action on your part. Now, your action, like with your child, may be necessary. Children need to be disciplined. Relationships can't run hog wild, because if somebody's abusing you, by God, at a certain point, you need to understand, I'm complicit in this enabling. So that has to stop. But by and large, all of the little things that add up to these terrible resentments are moments where we have been offered on a silver platter an opportunity to see that the pain I have is something you're helping me heal if I will let you reveal it to me as being my own. Then we have a chance to change, which is why waking up together is what it means.
I love it.
You are helping me heal by showing me what is not loving in me and allowing me, if I can have the right understanding, to let love come first. So that instead of blaming you, I see and learn to sacrifice this suffering self, not for the sake of anything so grandiose as me as a spiritual giant, but because I need to let go of what's limiting our relationship.
Yes. I like to call it if you would just change, then I would be happy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the opposite of the law of allowing, right? And
Right.
I see it with my relationship with my husband, when I'm in a space of allowing and really being present with what is and who he is, and not having the expectation that he show up differently, or the past, dictating who I think with the role he needs to play, then all is well. But when I start going into the roles, I remember years ago, I walked up to him and I go, "You realize that you can't ever win?" And he looked at me like,
"What?"
I go, as a man raised by very, very strong women,
right.
They were none of them were ever happy with the men in their lives. They didn't make enough. They didn't do enough. They didn't change enough diapers. It was never enough. It all came from lack and scarcity. And I'm like, I was raised by those generations of women. And now through my eyes, I look at you, and it's like, no matter what you do, no matter how great you are, no matter how much money you make, no matter how many diapers you change, you're never going to be enough. And he at that same moment goes, you realize with my mom, men were never enough either. So
what a valuable moment to be able to see that, let alone speak it.
Yes.
Again, underneath all of this that we're describing with one another, and I know you'll appreciate this, in order for me to let you have the space you need to see yourself as you are, and in that witnessing, in that uncontested consciousness that isn't pushing something away, to change yourself, to let you do that, I have to have, and the word is called patience. Do you know the old meaning of the word patience?
Please tell me.
Yeah, all of us. To suffer yourself.
Say that again.
To suffer yourself.
Wow.
Doesn't it all just sound, isn't it all true all of a sudden? If I can suffer this nature that meets you with all this junk, all the assumptions, the demands, to do that, I'm going to have to suffer that nature before I can let you see what it is that I see. If I tell you, this is in the book, you've got to see this, you've got to see this, you've got to see this, or we're not going to make it, you're never going to see it, because all you're going to see is your anger towards me for pointing out what you know is probably a weakness in you. But if when you exhibit that weakness, I back off and bear consciously the pain that wants to punish you for bringing that up in me, suddenly love has a chance. Because the only way I'm going to suffer myself is for the sake of a love that is showing me, Guy, if you don't suffer this now, this love has no chance to go one step further. You will be locked in a pattern based on punishing and trying to prove, and it'll die. And this book is all about shattering the pattern produced by an unconscious nature who has no idea what it's doing to itself or anyone else.
I love it. I love it. Let me ask this. I mean, both of us are obviously in conscious relationships and give each other as a couples that space, but there are a lot of people out there that are in quote unquote bad relationships. So why are certain people drawn to bad relationships?
Well, first of all, and this is really actually the opening of my book, which I haven't had a chance. I've only done a few interviews because it's coming out shortly. It's what draws anyone to anything, Christy. Have you ever really thought about it? Why am I drawn, for instance, to the sunlight that just came out, or the little nuthatch birds that run up and down the trees? Or why am I drawn to you as we're having this nice conversation? Why am I drawn to a truthful principle? And the short answer is that I'm drawn to it because there is a similarity. Something in me is like the nuthatch, as I've been told for a long time.
I love that.
Something in me is drawn to beauty. Something in me is drawn to sexuality to physicality. So we're drawn to one another, but the key to understand is that it isn't me that is drawn to you or you that is drawn to me. It is something that is in each of us before we meet. I call it love. That draws us together so that in the unity of this relationship, we can begin, because love allows it, to explore the parts of ourselves that we would never know if they weren't revealed through that relationship. So that's the first thing. We're drawn to one another. Now, where it becomes interesting in answering your question is, here I am, I'm drawn to somebody, but sooner or later, all that, the thrill is gone. The sex wears off. The quirky smile gets under my skin and it bugs me. I think you're judging me all the time, where you used to approve of me all the time, because now you're not as interested in what we had as I was. And all of these things add up to this friction. Now, the beauty of love, and anybody that's been in a relationship long enough will know this, is that as I go through this, I want to run. I want to cut bait. Mm-hmm. I'm not interested in this conflict. And yet, for some reason, I can't quite do it. Why? Because if I run, I'll never learn the truth of myself. And love wants us to know the truth of ourselves so that we can see love has brought us into that relationship to discover that. Then we're bound together by something greater than ourselves that won't let us just cut bait, because there's no way we can develop consciously if we do. So love draws us together, then it holds us together so that we can discover what wants to separate us. And the last part is, love never separates. We think that when we're angry at somebody, when we think it's love's action. No, love loves. Love holds us so we can see what would part ways in us. These parts of us that want to blame, hold accountable for our suffering. That's what love does, holds it all up so we get a chance to see what we would never see ordinarily.
I love it. Thank you for that. That's so beautiful. So you talk about relationship magic. Can you talk a little bit about that? I'd love to hear about that.
My favorite subject.
Well, let's talk about it.
They say that what we call magic, for instance, if, just as a silly example, if I walked into some deep part of an Aboriginal forest and had a lighter, a Bic lighter, and there was some native living there, and I flicked that lighter, that's magic.
Right.
Because to the development of that person, they have never seen the laws that allow what is simple to us to work. Magic means we are experiencing a set of laws and principles that we have yet to see are facts in another world. Love lives in another world, and we experience only so little of it. So when I say relationship magic, I'm saying that we can enter into a new level of consciousness where what seems to be magical to others, for instance, this isn't a brag, my wife and I have been together for 40 years. We've never raised our voice at each other, not one time in 40 years.
Wow.
Not one time. Now, a lot of people say that's magic. I say it's not magic. I say it's natural to love.
Yes.
I say it's natural to have no enemies, none. I say it's natural to learn how to love, in quotes, your enemy. And by the way, that quote from Christ, who is my enemy other than anyone who challenges my beliefs or ideas about who I am and what's valuable? So if I actually see that in your challenge of me, you're helping me grow and leave behind a limitation, then you have prepared a feast for me as my enemy. You are not my enemy. Some people would call that magic because they can't comprehend that.
Yeah.
That's what relationship magic is, this beautiful upward spiral into another kind of understanding where we embody those principles that make it impossible for us to ever punish anyone, because we can only thank them for showing us what we don't know about ourselves.
So beautiful.
That's magic in that world, right? That's magic.
Yes.
To forgive without any form of superiority. That's magic.
Yes.
See, these are the things the book covers, is a look into our secular everyday relationships through an understanding of love that belongs to literally another kingdom, another dimension, so that we can gradually start to feel these things. Because you and I, we're having a bang up time here. We're sharing things we both know are true. Well, how is that possible? Because we have both seen where magic lives. Now we want to become magical. We want to be the instrument of that love, so that we can be in our relationships with one another, not just the source of revelation to our partner, but receiving the revelations our partner gives us.
Absolutely. So beautiful. So I'm so excited that your book is coming out, and I know you have a special gift, which we're going to put a link underneath the video. So
Yes.
if you describe the gift, that would be great. And like I said, we don't have to worry about links. Just everybody, if you can go right below the video, and you'll see the link to click on it. But,
Perfect.
Yeah, Guy, if you could let them know.
Any purchase of the book, the individual gets on the spot the audio book that I read.
Beautiful.
So they get a free audio book on the spot. They also get free access to a webinar that I'm going to do, a two-time event where I will talk about the book and then field questions and answers, do the whole dialogue thing. And also, we're going to have what we call the Year of Relationship Magic. The whole year of 2019 is going to be dedicated 12 months, 12 special live stream talks about this relationship magic and how we can all, God help us, continue to grow and become the kind of men and women who cannot hurt one another, because we can no longer hurt ourselves by resisting the truth about ourselves.
So beautiful. Well, thank you for the work that you do in the world, Guy. I mean, it's really amazing. And I'm grateful that you're taking this and putting it towards, truly one of the most important things we have in our lives is relationships. So, because no man is an island, right?
Yeah.
So, can't be on this globe all by ourselves and not relate in some way to people, places, and things. So, really grateful.
The world which we are is in dire need of new ideas and ways we can meet each other and have, in truth, a real relationship based on a mutual understanding of ourselves. We got that, things can change.
Absolutely. I am with you. Thank you so much. So any parting words that you want to say before we head out?
Only this, that, this isn't my phrase, but we've all heard it. With love, all things are possible.
Yes.
So that means that we can learn, if we can, to let love be the answer. But for love to be the answer, we have to hear the question when it comes. It doesn't seem like love is asking me a question when someone's in my face, but it is. Who will you be now? And what will it teach? And what will it create? Because if I can let love be the answer, based on what you and I just agreed, that it's possible for me to actually be patient with my own pain so that you can see the pain that's pushing you to punish me, bang, change happens on the spot in us, and God willing, in our partner.
Love it. I have a t-shirt that says love is the answer. And whenever I wear it, I have someone that comes up to me and goes, what's the question?
Yeah, that's it. Then you simply say, you know what? You just asked me. They won't get it. You should say, thank you for giving me the answer again. Learning to bear all of this without being negative and letting you see yourself without pushing you to see it. That's the answer. But people like that, they're not going to get it. And yet, I swear to God, the more you and I can be the instrument of that understanding, the better chance everyone else has to see that they have been the instrument of misunderstanding. And since love lives in all of us, it will help them see that, and love will help them change.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Guy. I really appreciate you being on the show today. And for the family, please let us know what you're taking away. Leave us a comment. It's the best way to continue the conversation. I would love to hear your ahas, your insights, all the nuggets that you're taking away. And please go underneath the video, click on the link. You definitely want to take advantage of all of Guy's wisdom through not only his book, but the audio book and all through the webinars that he's offering. So it's really an opportunity to connect, learn, create a connection with one of our greatest spiritual teachers on the planet. So thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic week. Thank you, Guy, and best of luck with your amazing book.
Loved it.
Thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought. Leave me a comment below, and be sure to share and tag your friends. And be sure to check out my other videos here and on this site.